Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari Jaya, Gopijana Vallabha, Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajanaranjana Yamuna Tira Manachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Jaya श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्योत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादां सागणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरद्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गे राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा welcome to all for our Srimad Bhagavatam study. We are in chapter 31st. Okay, we'll just go to see the overview of 31st chapter. We have seen yesterday a bit section of after the prayers of Jantru Vacha, prayers by the living entity in the womb of a mother. And afterwards, the ordinary jiva, how he suffers at different ages, different levels, we have seen suffering of a jiva after coming out of the womb. Text 22 to 31st, we have seen. Then how piteously cries, and he grows in the boyhood, in the childhood. He was suffering with the things that he wanted. He is not getting, but he didn't want. He didn't want certain things, but he gets those things. So that's how he's suffering. And later on, when he is in boyhood, he suffers because he has to go to school. He has to do all those things which he doesn't like at all. He wants to play, but parents doesn't allow him to play. He doesn't want to go to school, but they forcefully put him to school. So these are all different kind of miseries or difficulties that Jiva undergoes. And in youth, he is filled with all material desires, picking up quarrels with others, leading his own destruction, etc. This is all because of ignorance. All suffering because of ignorance. That's what we discussed last. Text 29 and 30, that one. That's how that ignorance is the root cause of all these sufferings. And even the repetition of birth and death, ignorance is the root cause. So that ignorance is reinforced by association. So that ignorance can be curbed by good association and can be reinforced by association. So what association we take, that decides our ignorance levels. Either it's becoming curbed or it's becoming reinforced. So association is very much emphasized in text 32 to 48. What kind of association? And of all the associations, how the association between man and woman becomes so strong, and how it affects our ignorance levels. So that is explained in text 32 to 48, association. So initially, yeah, he explained what is the bad association. Because of bad association, what are the different qualities that one loses. So that is explained. So one should be extremely aware if a jiva in the man's body, should be extremely careful and cautious about opposite gender. So examples are also given, very, very striking and profound examples are given about Brahma, and to warn us. It's said that text 37 says only the devotees of Narayan, except devotees of Narayan, who else can be saved from the disturbance of intelligence. That means we should become devotees of Narayan. Narayanam Rishim Narayan Mrute. तत्सृष्टसृष्टसृष्टेषु कोन अखंडितः दीपुमान ऋषिं नारायणं ऋते. ऋषिं नारायण means devotees of Narayan, except devotees of Narayan. Who else can be saved from the disturbance of the form of illusion? So that's what mentioned. And specific examples are given how woman can control even the kings, greatest of the kings, Jiva in the form of a woman. So it can be a great danger in the form for a man who is on the path of Jnana, who is on the path of Bhakti, who is endowed with Jnana and Bhakti, should be extremely careful about. So the examples are given here. So what to speak of normal people, even great personalities, they should also extremely careful about. One cannot think that, oh, I have great intelligence, great discriminative power. Even Krishna warns in second chapter, of course, that was for devotee, Jnani, uh, Pashyati, Pashyati. That verse says that second chapter Krishna talks about Paramdrishtwani Vartate. After that verse, he speaks that even an intelligent person. Anybody remembers that verse? 2.56. That verse talks about how one should be extremely careful that even one is very, very intelligent, you should be careful. 7. यततो ह्यपि कौन्तेय पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः ततो ह्यपि कौन्तेय पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः इन्द्रियाणि प्रमादीनि हरन्ति प्रसवं मनः. Vipaschita means the one who can discriminate what is soul and what is matter. So even then also, yatato ह्यपि कौन्तेय पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः, one should be extremely careful. Otherwise, what will happen? Indriyani pramadhini haranti prasavam man. Indriyas, senses are so strong, it can drag away even a person who has discriminative intelligence. That's the power of senses. Senses are so strong and impetuous, Arjuna, that they forcibly carry away the mind even of a man of discrimination who is endeavoring to control them. So one should be extremely careful whether one is a great personality or one is endeavoring on the path of Jnana or Bhakti, wherever it may be. They have to be extremely careful. In different forms of Maya, Bharat Maharaj, we have seen. So the illusion was in a different form itself. Even it's not opposite gender. We don't know what gender the deer was, but it's compassionate. That compassion came in the form, a different form itself. One has to be extremely careful. So for Bharat Maharaj, it was deer, and for a sadhaka, it can be the deer can come in any form. We need to be careful about deers in different forms. While chanting holy names, the deer can come in different forms, in terms of mobile, in terms of various things, externally, internally. So we need to be careful. So that's the main point, that one should be careful. That's the main point. So one should see approaching woman as a death, like a well covered with grass. That last, but I think 41 we stopped. So analogies are also given how one should see the form of illusion, how one should be careful about is as equal as death. That's how one should see any form of illusion. Just like Bharat Maharaj, he couldn't see the deer as a well covered with grass. So that's the problem. So unfortunately, he has to take again birth as a deer and again as a Jada Bharat. 2 births he has to. So of course, Bharat Maharaj is exalted just to teach us. That's what Acharyas comment, that just to teach us a lesson, how one should be careful. So that's how one should be. One should. One can see that illusion only by mercy of Vaishnavas and devotees. It's not possible or no strength. It's quite impossible, and it's quite illusion to think I can on my own I can do it. That's what 39 is saying. Even great devotees and gyanis should be stay away from the illusion. That means that I my alone with my own intelligence, with my own strength, I can't do it. So that's the mood of a devotee. He's always depending on the mercy of spiritual master and Vaishnavas. So Karuna na hoile kandiya kandiya prana na rakibo ara. So Karuna na hoile, without the mercy of Vaishnavas, I can't sustain my life. So life means spiritual life especially. So that's the mood of a devotee. We need to always, by the mercy of Vaishnavas and the spiritual master only, one can be saved from all kinds of dangers. Yeah, of course, that famous pastime of Giriraj Swami Maharaj explains in his book, I Will Build You a Temple, that how he was faced with that lady, Mr. Yan. Mr. Yan sent a prostitute to disturb Giriraj Swami Maharaj, Giriraj Swami Maharaj. So, but he could see because of the mercy of the Prabhupada, that he could see that this is what will happen to Prabhupada's reputation, what will happen to the movement's name. So, he immediately remembered Prabhupada. That's how he could be saved from the situation. Of course, we are sadhakas. We are not on the level of Haridas Thakur, where we cannot even bother about anything. But one should, by the mercy of Vaishnavas, we can save from all kinds of dangers. Not only opposite gender, many forms of illusions, all forms of illusion. So that's what. Otherwise, it's almost as death, just like animal dies in an unseen well, which is covered with grass. So extremely, one has to be extremely careful. So then the whole paradigm is shifted, flipped. How it is a woman is kind of a illusion for a man who is with jnana and bhakti. Same with for a woman who is trying to endeavor on the path of devotion and jnana, trying to elevate herself to the utmost spiritual platform. For her, it's a man. It's extremely dangerous, and she has to be extremely careful. So that's what the next verse is dealing about. That's how Kapila Muni switches the situation. So wife attached to husband becomes man. So wife attached to husband becomes man in one life. Woman also similarly get attached to Maya in the form of man. So both ways. So that's the arrangement. Family is arrangement. That's how an endeavoring aspirant has to see, especially we are all talking in terms of not as a devotional family, a couple without divine couple in between. That family has to be extremely careful. So family arrangement for death, she should and also understand Maya in the form of husband, children, and house is her own. So Kapilmani is warning. So that's the section where we'll try to see, I think 42 we'll last see, and 43 to 48 will continue. How one can reclaim our original position, how to cross over this ignorance, this attraction, and how we can attain our original position. That's what mentioned a little bit. Or how to cross this birth and death, and how to attain that real position once again. That is the section last verses. And then once that is completed, we will come to text chapter 32. Once we come we there, we will see what exactly the chapter is dealing with. Let us complete the verses from 42. Anybody has any question till now? Or any comment? or any realization, want to share something? I'm just speaking myself. Though I'm not on the platform, but as a duty, as a service, I have to speak. By all our blessings, prayers, I'll also try to elevate myself.
So it is very, very interesting section, and we are
Yeah,
hearing, absorbing the nectar. And what you're saying is clear to us. We are very grateful, that how Kapila Muni is actually taking us and protecting us from all different types of various types of illusions that may come about. And so that is really, really touching the heart. Thank you so much, Roji.
so it's all proper special mercy, day and night, especially nights. He sacrifices all nights to just to try to write down the beautiful purports, very enlightening, very stark realities of the world. Quite difficult to find such an explanations anywhere else, unless the Prabhupada
Such
purports.
clarity is not available anywhere else, Prabhuji.
That's
Even earlier, reading so many books earlier, but before coming to Krishna consciousness, but this clarity is there only in Srila Prabhupada's books.
people don't talk, just they cover a disease, just like a doctor doesn't tell the disease, oh, you're good, you're good, you're okay. Don't be worried. So if the doctor is like that, then what to speak of patient, right? So doctor has to be extremely refined to treat the disease, to tell the truth, first of all, to the patient, and then treat the disease, though it's a little bit painful. These are all hearing itself is a quite bitter and bitter experience and quite painful to the heart to hear all these things. But it's stark realities that we can observe, we can experience. Of course, there is a flip side in the sense of purifying all the samskaras, purifying all these, as mentioned by Acharyas also, this is all for a materialist who doesn't care about anything at all. But especially those who are on the path of dharma, and what to speak of Rose dharma, they have some samskaras to purify the activities. Of course, they may also follow samskaras, but still, if it is aimed at sense gratification, that is also criticized by Kapila in the next chapter. That is another level. But still, at least to purify, at least not to go to hell. At least there are some samskaras, all samskaras when we follow, that purifies one's life and gradually he comes to mode of goodness. There we can at least raise a question about why I need to suffer. So unless one comes to mode of goodness, there is no question of reflection at all. There is no question of inquiry at all. So at least those purifications help a lot. Mode of goodness, purification, samskaras help a lot to give impressions of a mode of goodness. That we will see in the next chapter. Okay, we are talking about this detachment. The flip, Kapil Muni flipped the section. So he's talking about the jiva in the body of woman who is on the path of bhakti and jnana. How she has to be extremely careful to the illusion in the form of man. Let us see. Dhamatmano bijaniyat patyapatyagраhatmakam दैवोपसादितं मृत्युं मृगयोर्गायनं यथा.
A woman therefore should consider her husband, her
Sorry, asking question.
external energy of the Lord for her death, just as the sweet singing of the hunter is death for the deer.
Ah. So here, as we talked about, should consider arrangement of external energy of Lord for her death. So for death means spiritual death. If one sees he is an object of my enjoyment, then it's more dangerous. So example is also given, just like a sweet singing of a hunter is death for her. So generally it is said that it's not as kind of as absolute truth, but it's a general psychology. Man is weak at eyes, vision, and women are weak at ears. So that example is yes, Prabhupada also writes somewhere in the purports, same example. So they have to be extremely, example is here, sweet singing of hunter is death for the deer. Deer is very much captivated by the sweet music of the hunter. He plays flute, the hunter. Just by keep on hearing the hunter, though the person, second person comes behind to catch the deer. The deer is he's unable to move only. She just caught by the sweet hearing of the hunter flute. So that's how the analogy is given. So one has to be extremely bit careful. Please read. Very powerful lines. In these instructions.
Man becomes attached to a woman because of her service, her beauty, and
This,
many
this is
other.
also actually this is also purport only. Yeah. In these
In these
instructions.
instructions of Lord Kapila Deva, it is explained that not only is woman the gateway to hell for man, but man is also the gateway to hell for woman. It is a question of attachment. A man becomes attached to woman because of her service, her beauty, and many other assets. Similarly, woman becomes attached to a man for his giving her nice place to live, ornaments, dress, and children. It is a question of attachment for one another.
So Prabhupada writes that as long as either is attached to other for his material enjoyment, the woman is dangerous for man and the man is also dangerous for woman. Prabhupada here raises the point. He raises in the sense he uplifts the whole thing. But if the attachment is transferred to Krishna, both of them become Krishna conscious, and then the marriage is very nice. So that's the beauty of Krishna conscious marriages and Krishna conscious, keeping the divine couple in between the couple. So yeah, Rupa Swami Prabhupada quotes Anasakta Vishayan, how one should Yuktam Vairagya Muchyate, Yukta Vairagya. We need to practice Yukta Vairagya, keeping everything Krishna in center, recharging everything in Krishna center. And Prabhupada writes how engage everyone, engage children, engage wife, engage husband, all in Krishna conscious duties. And then all these bodily or material attachments will disappear. Since the vaya media is Krishna, the Krishna consciousness is pure. There's no possibility of degradation at any time. Basically, that attachment has to Maya Sakta Manaparda Yogam Junjan Madashraya. So Maya Sakta Manaparda, one's attachment has to transfer to Krishna. Asakti has to transfer to Krishna. So, especially for a materialistic a couple, that the example is given of two clips. I don't know, maybe some of you might have heard. That clips example is quite befitting here. Prabhupada also mentions how either is attached. So that clip example, I think you might have known, you might have heard that how two clips, I mean clips means you understand clips we keep for drying clothes. And two clips are kept like this, right? Though one clip is trying to take it off, but second clip is holding. If this clip is trying to take it off, but this clip is holding. So like that, if though one man wants to give up, woman is holding, and a woman wants to give up, man is holding. So, but both has to transfer their attachment to Krishna. Then only both will be liberated.
Who gave this example?
His Holiness Gaur Krishna Goswami Maharaj. I know it's not here in this world, but
Yes.
when he came to Pune, he was explaining. This is from Acharya's commentary, Vishnu Chakravarti, but he practically put into an example. So that's a very, very, very striking example to understand.
Very, very befitting.
So generally, it's like that in family, a materialistic family like that. But if both of husband and wife is keeping Krishna in center, both are liberated definitely. That attachment is so strong, binds together, knots are bound together. Hriday Grandhi. Yeah. Okay, so the results of that attachments in the subtle body. So that attachment is not just in the gross body, but the subtle body. So that's how next verses are spoken. Where is that attachment to be seen? So repeated birth and death of the jiva is described now because of that attachment. The result of that attachments, which is there in the subtle body, so it continues. One may say that if only it is an external attachment, it will go away after death. No, that attachment is there in the subtle body. It continues. So that's why repeated death and birth and death happens to jiva. So that subtle attachment is spoken now. देहेन जीवभूतेन लोकालोकम् अनुव्रजन् भुञ्जान एव कर्माणि करोति अविरतं पुमान्.
Due to
Due
his
to, please read, Mataji. Please read. Thank you.
Due to his particular type of body, the materialistic living entity wanders from one planet to another, following fruitive activities. In this way, he involves himself in fruitive activities and enjoys the result incessantly.
Continue.
When the living entity is engaged in the material body, he is called Jiva Bhuta. And when he is free from the material body, he is called Brahma Bhuta. Bhagavad Gita 18.54. By changing his material body birth after birth, he travels not only in the different species of life, but also from one planet to another.
So by changing his middle body, birth after birth, he is traveling. So to this particular type of body wanders from one to another. Brahmande Brahmite Konam Bhagyawanuji, Brahmande Brahmite is rotating all Brahmandas. And because following fruitive activities. So because his subtle body is infused with the enjoyment tendency and attachment to enjoyment. So that attachment to enjoyment causes him to go around in different species of life. So he keeps on going through all these activities. That's what Prabhupada speaks here. Brahmande Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade by Bhakti Lata Bij. Please read. Mataji.
If by some chance or by pious activities they get in touch with a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna, then they get the seed of devotional service.
So then Prabhupada explains how, of course, we know that analogy of us getting the seed. So can you reflect on what does the seed mean? What does the seed mean? Guru Krishna Prasad by Bhaktirata Bij. Can you share some thoughts on? You might have heard many things. What the seed can represent. Many answers can be right. Could be right, definitely. What that seed mean? Seed of devotional service.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Ah,
Prabhuji, the seed is the desire of to means understand Krishna, about Krishna.
yeah, perfectly well. Very good. Desire to understand Krishna. Yes. Anything else?
Association of devotees.
Association of the devotees is very good. Seed can be devotion. Seed of devotion can be associated with this. By mercy of Krishna. Krishna awards the association. Okay.
And the seed of bhakti is potent, means the guru is bona fide, and it's when the land is also fertile, means the devotee is also very eager, and he waters the seed with good sadhana. So that time it will develop into bhakti life.
Good, you explain the process. We are just discussing about what exactly seed mean. So one said it's almost a very perfect answer, like desire of for achieving Krishna or approaching Krishna. Some said it's association.
Seed means connection with Krishna. The Guru connects us with Krishna, with the parampara.
Ah, okay. So the connection you are comparing to seed. Good point. Connection can be the seed. Okay. Anything
Bhakti
else?
Lata Beach.
Yeah.
Hearing Bhagavad Gita Bhagavata.
Hearing Bhagavad Gita Bhagavatam. That is more compared to Shravana Kirtana Jale Karaya Sinchan. That is compared to more of a Jala. Shravana Kirtana Jale Karaya Sinchan. We need to.
Shraddha is the seed, I believe. Shraddha, Shabde Vishwas.
Shraddha can also be considered like a seed. Plants that kind of faith uh, in the disciple. Yeah, that's good. That's a good reflection. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, Prabhupada also writes there the same verse where this verse is spoken that Bhaktirata Bij, Guru Krishna Prasadaya Bhaktirata Bij. So there he writes that Bij is more of a the methods and the rules and regulations that the Guru gives is also considered like a seed. Right. Correct, Shravan. I'm just seeing the verse what Prabhupada is. Yeah, he. Right. I'm getting this one. Let us see what Prabhupada. Are you able to the screen or are you seeing only document? Which document are you seeing?
Prabhuji, the Bhakti Lata Bij means the seed of personal
Okay,
service.
whole screen. No? Okay. Can you read this line statement? Compare.
Bhakti Lata Bij means the seed of devotional service. Everything has an original cause or seed. For any idea, program, plan, or device, there is first of all the contemplation of the plan, and that is called the bija or seed. The methods, rules, and regulations by which one is perfectly trained in devotional service continue the Bhaktilata Bij or seed of devotional service.
Is constitute the Bhaktirata Bij.
Oh,
Yeah. The methods, the rules, and the regulations by which one is perfectly trained in devotional service constitute the Bhaktilata Bij, or seed of devotional service. This Bhaktilata Bij is received from the spiritual master by grace of Krishna. So other seeds are like Karma Bij, Anyabilasha Bija. So Prabhupada's term says Anyabilasha Bija, include Karma Bija, Jnana Bija. So here the Prabhupada defines what exactly is the Bija. The methods,
So, Prabhuji,
rules.
we can say that ISKCON, the association Sangha, the entire framework of ISKCON, that is the Bij, opportunity.
That's the opportunity, that's the Bija. And Bija also, His Holiness Radha Swami Maharaj, the desire to serve Krishna is also a Bija considered. Because till now we didn't have that. We had the desire to serve, but not Krishna. Right? We had the desire to serve the family, serve wives, husband, children, family, society, nation, etc. The desire to serve is there, but the desire to serve Krishna is implanted, or the desire to serve is transformed to serve Krishna. So that desire is also considered like a seed, and that is protected by all these rules and regulations and methods. So it can be considered like a covering. Seed has both parts, internal and covering part, right now. See, one more beautiful insight given by His Holiness Gaur Krishna Goswami Maharaj. See, the seed should have the cover. Many of you know how if some of you might have planted many seeds and personally grown some kinds of plants and etc. Hope so. especially village life we can see, and city life is quite difficult to see. Of course, if one is very interested, they can bow some seeds in pots and all, they grow. But basically, I'm saying about seeds, they should have cover. I mean, cover is not in itself is a kind of a which grows into a plant. Right now, you all understand cover. So that cover is not at all is not a part of the upcoming plant, but that is required for the plant to come out. Without that, let us suppose we removed all the covers of a grains like rice. We removed all the covers and we sowed the rice grains in the mud. Can the plant come? Not at all. Nothing will come out. So the cover is required. The cover is essential. It's absolute essential to the plant to come out right now. So the desire is considered more of a internal part, and the rules and regulations are given by spiritual master is considered like external cover. And that is also Krupa. Vaishnava Krupa is considered like a cover. So without that cover, there is no question of plant coming out. How much you may try, any seed you take, the cover has to be there, then only plant will come. And the
Sorry,
cover
what is the inside part again? What is the inside part?
and the cover we are talking about cover. Any grain has two parts. One is internal and one is external cover that we see. Dhanya,
Yeah, so cover is the Krupa. Cover is Krupa. And what is internal?
cover is considered a krupa that has to be there in order to bring out the plant of bhakti. But in another way, the cover can be considered like these rules and regulations. And the bija is like an internal part can be the desire to serve Krishna. So in that sense, yeah, they both are required, right? No, without the internal part, just cover is there, nothing will come out.
So it is
Right.
internal Shraddha or desires of Krishna and Krupa both. Correct.
Yeah, both. Yeah, the krupa can be in different forms, especially krupa comes in the form of methods, rules, and regulations, right? Now, krupa comes in the form of giving rules and regulations, training, perfectly trained. The training comes in the form of rules and regulations and methods. That is considered like a cover. The desire is there to serve, so to serve Krishna. So that's how that is kind of a bija is given. Desire, so basically the desire to serve Krishna is more of a seed. Also, the rules and regulations and methods is also considered like a bija. At least overall context you can remember at least. That kind of. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we are talking about Prabhupada's purport where Prabhupada is speaking about how we receive after going through all our Brahmandas. One is wandering with his desires to enjoy. But Prabhupada is contrasting here that one can cross over, one can definitely cross over by receiving the Bhaktilata Bija. And Bija when we get, then when we keep on watering with this all this hearing and chanting, one should one sows one sows it within this heart. And this is also a very important point. So though one may get grains from market or store, so if he keeps the grains in a home, not sowing in the soil, he will not get any crop. So similarly, we may receive all the rules and regulations, methods from spiritual master, but we don't follow, then we can't gain anything at all. So we need to follow them. That means sowing. One sows it within the heart, and then pours water on it by hearing and chanting, by reading regularly, by hearing regularly, association with regularly. Pours water, then the seed grows into big plant, and also protection also needed. The fencing part is also very much needed. So the seed grows into plant, and thereby and their fruits or flowers, which a living entity can enjoy even in this material world. This is called Brahmabhuta stage. Yeah, one can experience the highest stages of bhakti in this life also. So that's what Prabhupada is contrasting with the materialistic person, how he wanders whole Brahmandas just to trying to enjoy himself. But no one can get out of whole material world to enjoy the unlimited happiness. Read this one, unless one gets.
Unless one gets the opportunity to associate with a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of the Lord, there is no possibility of one's liberation from the cycle of birth and death in the different species of life and through the different grades of planets.
No possibility of liberation. So there is a one beautiful illustration or example to understand the rarity of the opportunity that we are getting of meeting spiritual master. That rarity of opportunity. Considering a ocean, take an ocean. Just imagine the ocean. You might have been to Puri or any other place where there at least we have some glimpse of ocean. So the vast ocean is there in front of us. It's so big, so vast that we can't see anything else but water. Right? Imagine the ocean on the top surface of the ocean. We kept a plank, wooden plank, a very small thickness, and we have 5 centimeters thickness plank. We covered all the surface of the ocean. Only plank is seen, wooden plank. So in the middle of that plank, there is a small hole. Small hole is there. A diameter maybe of half a feet diameter is there. So let us suppose inside the ocean there is a tortoise. So the tortoise is there inside the ocean, somewhere in the ocean. So if the tortoise has to find the center and come, and if he wants to put his head through that hole, the center hole in the plank, and see the sun. So that's how rarity of the tortoise to find out the center of the plank and bring out the head to see the sun. How rare it is to get that opportunity. Is that how rarity is the finding a spiritual master? That's how it's compared. So that's a rarest opportunity to meet a bona fide spiritual master. That's a beautiful example to understand how rare it is. And after getting, one should be also extremely careful to follow rules and regulations.
So yeah, I heard a similar analogy. It's
Yeah.
like in the ocean, if you throw one garland, okay, and what are the chances that when the tortoise comes up, the garland is in his neck, like that?
Yeah.
So just like
Correct. Yeah,
same type of analogy.
almost similar. Yeah, similar happen. So rarity is always spoken. So when we understand, when we contemplate on rarity, we are more increasing our sense of urgency to utilize that opportunity. These sections of especially purports of Prabhupada gives us more and more insights. Okay, so the jiva, because of subtle body, attachment to subtle body is continuing in different planets. It is continuing. Jivo hiyas deho bhutendriya manomaya tan nirodhosya maranam avirbhavastu sambhavaha. So here explained what is called death and what is called birth. What exactly? The gross and subtle body, the combination, when it's called birth, when it's called death is explained in this verse. Jiva for the living entity. Please read.
In this way, the living entity gets a suitable body with a material mind and senses, according to his fruitive activities. Then the reaction of his particular activity comes to an end. That end is called a death, and when a particular type of reaction begins, that beginning is called a birth.
So the subtle body is there, the reaction ends, the subtle body leaves one gross body, that is called death. And again, to start with another particular type of reaction begins to continue. It comes in touch with another gross body, so that is called birth. Prabhupada, more holistic overall understanding is how we are rotating Brahmayan Sarvabhutani Yantra Rodhani Maya. From time immemorial, the living entity is traveling different species on different planets. Not only different species in one planet, different species of life in different planets, almost perpetually. That's why it's called Nitya. The Prakriti is called Nitya. Out of 5 subject matters, Prakriti is also Nitya in the one sense that if the living entity doesn't desire to cross, then it's almost perpetually just continuing trying to enjoy birth and death, going through different species and different planets. So Brahman Sarvabhutani. Materialistic life involves a series of actions and reactions. This is a beautiful analogy Prabhupada gives. Please read this one.
Materialistic life involves a series of actions and reactions. It is a long film full of actions and reactions, and one lifespan is just a flash in such a reactionary show.
Hmm. Here Prabhupada brought out a theater example. Whole material world is like a theater. And in the theater, we are just sitting. The soul is sitting and just absorbed in different movies. And Prabhupada writing here, it is a long film full of actions and reactions. And one lifespan is just a flash in such a reactionary show. First show, second show, third show. So every show is living in it is just absorbed in different shows. Different shows can be different species. And everybody watching different movie. That's another interesting fact. The whole material world is like a theater, and everybody watching different movies and different things. That's quite an amazing example to understand. And we are all going through different, just absorbed in the movie, just like many of us have experience when we are absorbed in somebody is absorbed in movie on the screen. One cries, one laughs, one is agitated, one is disturbed, one becomes angry. All this emotion because just one is absorbed in the particular roles, what is being played on this movie screen because of actions and reactions of humanity itself. So these are all going through, we are all going through all this different movies, absorbing ourselves. So one is absorbed in the movie, in the theater. So this knowledge of movie theater is a conditioned soul. Material life is considered like a analogy given movie theater. Imagining entering movie theater, a grand film is playing. So the movie represents material life. A conditioned soul is a spectator completely absorbed in the storyline, the soul. The film reel, Prabhupada is talking here, film release is like law of karma. Let's keep on continuing background. So that is shown on the screen. But they're all a series of events, just like law of karma. Every say reaction, action, reaction. So we are the spectators who is conditioned soul is absorbed in that movie, forgetting everything else. What is outside of the theater? We don't even understand what is going on external. I mean, especially when one is absorbed in the movie, or any, not only, of course, movie, or any screen, mobile screen, or any screen, computer screen, or cinema screen, whatever screen. They're absorbed. They don't even consider anything else. So that's the conditioned soul. The projection is like Maya. Maya is projecting everything, all these things on the screen. So we are absorbed in that illusion. So that intermission is like birth and death. So, but we are not stopping seeing the movie, but we are keep on continuing different movie, one life after another, different films, different shows, different movies, different shows. We are continuing same. But escaping theater is like liberation. And of course, moksha in ourself, what we consider come back to God at self-realization outside theater. So we need to endeavor to come out of all this illusion. Different, not only different films, but different, different films can also different species of life. We are just absorbed. Everyone is absorbed in their own movies. So we need to, only with the mercy of Vaishnavas, mercy of devotees, when they give mercy, when we are acting on that, when we stop connecting to or identifying with that screen, then we can slowly come out of the illusion. Identification, we need to pause it. So that's the beautiful example Prabhupada gave. The movie theater, we are absorbed. Please read this one.
One who is carrying pious activity with him is given a chance to take his birth in a rich or pious family, and one who is carrying impious activity is given a chance to take birth in a lower poor family. The change of body means a change to a different field of activities. Similarly, when the body of the boy changes into that of a youth, the boyish activity change into youthful activities.
So here the overall principle is spoken, basically how the body is changing, how one is going from one body to another. That's finally spoken here in these verses. How what is called death, after all sufferings, after all these kinds of pains from womb to tomb. Of course, tomb is not that kind, but from womb, how he's suffering, and then almost tomb came also. How he's giving up this body. When the subtle body is disconnected with the gross body, that's called death, and when again comes in contact with that gross body, it's called birth. But how one should cross beyond, that's Prabhupada is bringing out in this purport. Many other purports also. Anadi karma phale, we are caught up. We cannot trace it out. It's very difficult to trace out when it started. That's very difficult to find out, but definitely we can endeavor to cross it beyond. So then what are the characteristics of birth and death? Are again clarified, more and more clarification is given. Characteristics of birth and death. Dravyopalabdhi sthanasya dravye द्रव्येक्षायोग्यता तत् यथा यदा तत् पञ्चत्वम् अहं मानात् उत्पत्तिर्द्रव्यदर्शनम् यथाक्ष्णो द्रव्यावयव दर्शनायोग्यता यदा तथैव चक्षुषो द्रष्टृत्वायोग्यतानयोः.
When the eyes lose their power to see color or form due to morbid appreciation of the optic nerve, the sense of sight becomes deadened. The living entity who is the seer of both the eyes and the sight loses his power of vision. In the same way, when the physical body, the place where perception of objects occurs, is rendered incapable of perceiving, that is known as death. When one begins to view the physical body as one's very self, that is called a birth.
Example is given how, just like eye, when it loses power because of the especially some kind of disease, the sense of sight becomes deadened. The living entity who is seer of both eyes and sight loses his power of vision. So just like when the senses are unable to see, when the eye is affected, then we cannot see. That is called death for the eye. So similarly, in the same way, when the physical body is unable to react to the objects of senses, then it's called death. But when it starts again reciprocating with the objects of senses, then it's called birth. So that's an example is given of eye. Yeah. So when one's instrument of action is broken and cannot function, that is called death. And again, when one gets a new instrument for action, that's called birth. Example is given here. Okay. Since one understands the Atma does not take birth or die, so one should not be horrified. Those who understand, especially those who understand the Atma, are so, though they need not be horrified or terrified or being fearful. So that's the main point. So those who go beyond the attachment to the body, one who understands that Atma does not take birth it doesn't have any birth and death. Na jayate mrete va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita na bhuya ajopinityas ashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. One who understands that, then for him there is no any kind of bhaya or horror or any terror, anything, etc. So that is spoken here, finally. Almost last but one verse. तस्मान्नाकार्य संत्रासो नाकार्पण्यं न संभ्रमः बुद्ध्वा जीवगतिं धीरो मुक्तसङ्गश्चरेदिह. Continue.
Therefore, one should not view death with horror, not have recourse to defining the body as soul, nor give way to exaggeration in enjoying the bodily necessities of life. Realizing the true nature of the living entity, one should move about in the world free from attachment and steadfast in purpose. A sane
Steadfast.
person,
Steadfast in purpose. So this is the purport how. So realizing the true nature of living entity, one should move about in the world. Padmapatra imam bhasa, Krishna speaks in the third chapter, Gita, that how one should be acting in the world, be in the world but not of the world. So one can definitely, by understanding the true nature of self, how I'm not the body, I'm soul, at least on a Jnana platform, but as a devotee, I'm always trying to remember that I'm servant of Krishna. Acting on that level is much more higher than just thinking that I'm not the body. So by that we will not be caught up, rather we will be liberated, we will be going back home, back to Godhead. So that's not only after this life, but in this life only we can definitely experience Krishna's special mercy in the form of spiritual advancement. Yeah, the living entity's nature is given in first canto, seventh chapter. Prabhupada writes a beautiful purport about how the living entity is just thinking himself as matter, but it's not the living entity, but realizing our true nature of living entity, we need to understand, thereby we will not be bewildered. That's a basic foundation of Gita also, and basic foundation for spiritual life also. And the more we keep on reminding ourselves that Naham Vipro Nachanarpati, so I am the servant of servants of servants, definitely. And also trying to realize on a bit down platform where I am not the body, I am soul. This, at least this understanding gives a little more a practical detachment from all other things many a times. So that's that real nature of the living entity is spoken in this Vyasadeva's vision. Vyasadeva saw the vision, and 4 verses speaks in the first canto, second chapter, seventh chapter speaks that vision, what he saw. So he sees the three things together: the Jiva, the Maya, and the Jagadish. Jiva, Jagat, and Jagadish. Jagat means Maya. So the three things he sees, and their relative positions also he sees there in his vision. One verse he speaks that about Jiva. Yaya sammohito jiva atmanam trigunaatmakam paropi panute anardham tatkutam chavipadyate. Please read the translation. Due to
due to this external energy, the living entity, although transcendental to the three modes of material nature, thinks of himself as a material product and thus undergoes the reactions of material miseries.
thinks himself of material product. We are always identifying with the body. I am the body. I am the material body. I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm fat, I'm thick, I'm diseased, I'm healthy, I'm great, I'm this, I'm that. Prabhupada always mentions I am American, I'm Indian. Himself as a material product. So these identities are so strong in our consciousness. It's quite takes time to uh, clean these identities and identifying with the real identity. So that's how all our process itself, the whole bhakti process itself is to purify these identities or remove these false identities. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatvena vinirmalam rishikesa sevanam bhakti richate. So all the activities that we are trying to do is to not identify with this material identities, not to identify with this material product, material designations. Because of that, we are undergoing all material miseries. But our real identity is not as a material product, but paropi, though is beyond the three modes of nature, is transcendental, but still is identifying. Prabhupada writes a beautiful purport also in that section. How Lord is so kind also, but living entity. That's, we are going out of time. But, okay, you can go through the purports whenever you have time. So basically, there he explains how Lord is so kind and merciful, though the living entity does not desire, but still Lord is kind enough to keep on coming here to canvas. My dear living entities, my dear sons and daughters, please come back. So that's the kindness of the Lord. Even Lord has greater eagerness. Prabhupada writes in somewhere in purports only that Lord is so, Lord is more eager than the living entity to take the living entity back home, back to Godhead. But living entity is not willing to come. So, but we need to cut down these attachments. Asanga Shastrina Dhrudhena Chitva. So, how to go to spiritual world, it is spoken here. All these attachments. So that's how living entity, though it's beyond, but is identifying with all these things. But when one realizes his true nature, then definitely one should come to that stage. Prabhupada is inspiring all of us. Kapila Muni is inspiring. One should not be in the lower stages, but one should realize higher nature, true nature, and then thereby one can be coming out of the situation. Yeah, please read.
A sane person who has understood the philosophy of life and death is very upset upon hearing of the horrible, hellish condition of life in the womb of the mother or outside of the mother. But one has make a solution to the problems of life. A sane man should understand the miserable condition of this material body without being unnecessarily upset. He should try to find out if there is a remedy. The remedial measures can be understood when one associates with persons who are liberated.
So one is disturbed definitely. So a sane person who has understood the philosophy of life and death is very upset upon hearing the horrible and hellish conditions of life in the woman, in the womb or outside the mother. So one may be disturbed. What is all these kinds of stuff you are speaking? Why you are? So one may be upset hearing all this is painful. You are all pessimistic. You always speak about suffering, death, and pain and all. You should talk about the enjoyments in life. People keep on commenting like that. I don't see brighter side. Why you have a pessimistic side? People talk like that, but that's not the right vision. It's like that vision is like a. Prabhupada gives example of that ostrich example. Ostrich in the sand he keeps in his neck and his head. Ostrich, bird ostrich. He keeps his head in the sand and says that, oh, no one is coming, no one is coming. But the tiger is coming and he's going to devour the bird. But he's saying, oh, no one is coming, nothing is coming. I am happy, I am happy. So that's the situation of people. They are saying, oh, why you should always speak about death, pain, misery, suffering. People don't know how to enjoy life. People always comment like that. But one should try to understand so Prabhupada is saying, without being unnecessarily upset, you should try to find out solution. Try to find out there is remedy. There is misery. There is suffering, definitely. I mean, one has to accept that fact. One realizes that fact also many times, but one may not accept it. So that's a different case. But Prabhupada is saying that we should definitely make solution. Read this one.
As such, when one actually engages in the service of the Lord in various forms, either Narayana or Radha Krishna or Sitaram, he is understood to be on the platform of liberation. The Bhagavatam also confirms that liberation means to be situated in one's constitutional position. Since a living entity is eternally the servitor of the Supreme Lord, when one seriously and sincerely engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, he is situated in the position of
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Yeah, situation, position of liberation. Okay. So what to do on the practical platform? Prabhupada explains, engage in devotion service, should not be miserly, discharge duties, should not unnecessarily show that he has renounced this world. So this is all about association, how one should practice in association. Prabhupada keeps, explains about more details about how the remedial measures can be understood when one associates with persons who are liberated. So thereby, once we associate with them, what kind of engagements they give, what kind of practices we need to undergo, training we need to undergo. Prabhupada speaks about all these things, especially about renouncing. So he speaks he speaks of, because the verse is speaking about one should move about in this world without being attached to this world. That is another point Prabhupada is emphasizing. One should move about in the world free from attachment and steadfast in purpose. So taking that as an indication, Mukta Sangha Chare Deha, Mukta Sangha, being detached from this world, how one should move about in this world. So some people may say, oh, renounce, everything we should be renounced. So nothing we should be attached to, we should renounce everything. So that renunciation part, Prabhupada is emphasizing there is a Falgu Vairagya and there is Yukta Vairagya. And Prabhupada is emphasizing on that Falgu Vairagya. He gives a beautiful example saying that if one renounces his palatial building and goes to a forest, there is actually no renunciation. For the palatial building is not the property of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the forest is also property of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If he changes from one property to another, that doesn't mean that he renounces. He was never the property of either the palace or the forest. That's a beautiful understanding of even when he's saying that I'm in Brahmacharya ashram, I renounced everything, I'm sannyasi, I renounced everything. No, what you renounced? What do you have first of all? What was yours first of all to renounce? Nothing was mine. I didn't brought anything into the world, nor I can take anything from the world. So only one has to renounce the idea that I am the enjoyer, the idea that I am the proprietor, I am the controller. The false ego has to be renounced. So that's the beautiful point that Prabhupada brings out through example. Everything belongs to Krishna. Therefore, everything can be engaged in Krishna. This is Yukta Vairagya. That is called Falgu Vairagya. I give up something, I became a renunciant, etc. But this is the true renunciation. Everything can be engaged in Krishna service. Nothing should be used for one's sense gratification. That is renunciation. So Prabhupada, these are very powerful instructions, direct instructions. Sometimes Prabhupada writes quite strong statements also, direct statements. So nothing, these are all we can understand for myself. As last times also we understood how we can read purports, keeping as a first person. Not Prabhupada writes in third person. We should be satisfied with whatever is offered and supplied by Krishna. So that can be read with I. I should be satisfied with whatever is offered and supplied by Krishna without much personal endeavor. I should spend my time executing devotional service in Krishna consciousness. That is the solution to the problem of life and death. So these are all very powerful statements, Prabhupada. When we read here, contemplate again, repeat. Have a strong we have strong indications and warnings, and also faith is reinforced more and more. What to be done. Text 48. Samyak darshanaya buddhya yoga vairagya yuktaya maya virachite loke charenyasya kalevaram.
Endowed with right vision and strengthened by devotional service and a pessimistic attitude towards material identity, one should relegate his body to this illusory world through his reasons. Thus, one can be unconcerned with this material world.
So basically, last verses speaking about how one, by the association of the devotees, how one raises his vision, and but with the right vision, how one should see this world, how one should stay in the world before giving up the body, so that he goes back home, back to Godhead. That is spoken. So the right vision, right understanding, right vision is spoken in these two verses. Strengthened by devotional service, pessimistic attitude towards the material identity, both seeing upwards, not seeing downwards. Samyak darshanaya buddhya. So please read.
It is sometimes misunderstood that if one has to associate with persons engaged in devotional service, he will not be able to solve the economic problem. To answer this argument, it is described here that one has to associate with liberated persons not directly physically, but by understanding through philosophy and logic the problems of life.
So people may say that we need to solve the problems of economic development, economic problems. So but Prabhupada is mentioning we associate definitely physically, and may not be possible physically, but at least by understanding philosophy, logic, and problems. Basically, Prabhupada mentioning you need not give up the family life if at all, if one is there, and if it is there, you need not give up artificially, but can be engaged, having economic support and all. But one should understand through philosophy, logic, and problems of life. So thereby we gain, by the association of the saintly person, by their understanding, we raise our vision. Jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Please read. Devotees.
The devotee's intelligence is always in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His attitude towards the material existence is one of detachment, for he knows perfectly well that this material world is a creation of illusory energy. Realizing himself to be part and parcel of the Supreme Soul, the devotee discharges his devotional service and is completely aloof from material action and reaction. Thus, at the end, he gives up his material body or the material energy, and as pure soul, he enters the kingdom of God.
So detached from the matter, attached to the spirit. Detached from the push-pull example. The push-pull example we can remember. So detached from the material world, attachment to Krishna is the main thing. So basically, this chapter is very powerful in that sense, giving a caution about Maya and conscious about Krishna. We should be cautious about Maya and conscious of Krishna. Both has to go together. And detachment from the matter, attachment to the spirit, attachment to Krishna. So how by raising our vision, seeing this world in a proper perspective and becoming detached from this one, and by thereby attachment to the positive things, then we can definitely cross beyond, and as a pure soul enters, I can enter into kingdom of God. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the third canto, 31st chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Lord Kapila's instructions on the movements of living entities in the womb. Text, okay, we will just go through the summary. So chapter 31, 30th chapter explained about how the destination of a person in mode of ignorance, hellish conditions, we have seen. The passionate destination, the earth, madhye tishtanti rajasa, aganna gunavrittistha, ऊर्ध्वं गच्छन्ति सत्त्वस्था मध्ये तिष्ठन्ति राजसा अधो गच्छन्ति सामसा लास्ट लाइन जगन्ना गुणवृत्तिस्था अधो गच्छन्ति तामसा अधो गच्छन्ति स्पोकन तामसा मध्ये तिष्ठन्ति राजसा living entities who are in passion, they are described destination is earth, they are suffering. And now the 32nd chapter speaks about Udvam Gachanti Sattvastha, the people who are little pious, religious, they go to higher planets. So that is described how they go, where they go, and all they spoken in 32 chapter. That's overall chapter, cannot be in details, but at least overall. That is spoken in these three chapters. So we have seen these sections in 31st, starting from womb, how he was growing, how he was growing into different sizes, and finally, of course, in between the prayers came of a devotee jiva. And that also can be a very good contemplation for us. And then how he's suffering after getting birth in a childhood, in boyhood, in youth. And the principles are spoken lastly. The ignorance and because of association, how one is bewildered, especially attraction between male and female. So that is spoken. And finally, how we can raise this, how we can raise from this ignorance and cross beyond birth and death. Prabhupada exclusively focuses on that, how to cross beyond by giving up the subtle body. By giving up the gross body, we change into another gross body. But finally, when one who understands the real position, that is spoken by Kapila Muni. He speaks that one who understands his real position, not concerned about material world, then he can be liberated from this world, from the ignorance. And Prabhupada gives more detail in that only by association, spiritual master, by bhakti only one can come to that stage. That Prabhupada's special mercy to elaborate on the particular thing and the practical thing. So that is about 31st chapter. So now 32nd, entanglement in fruitive activities. This is also entanglement. Prabhupada also very aptly titles entanglement in fruitive activities, the path of karma. So can someone read the highlight portion in this chapter?
Connection in this chapter, after speaking about returning to this world by Sakam Karma and not returning to this world by Nishkam Karma, Kapilas criticizes those who are not devotees.
So he speaks in this chapter how one by sakama karma, by doing sakama karma, with having desires, he keeps on repeating, coming to this world after enjoying upper planets. And by doing nishkam karma, how one he doesn't come back. And later on, he criticizes non-devotees who are not practicing bhakti. So this broad sections of this chapter. Text 1 to 4 talks about path of sakama karma cannot bestow liberation. That is spoken in 1 to 4 sakama karma. And 5 to 7 nishkam karma can bestow sayuja mukti. So one who performs nishkama without any desire, just as a duty, he carries on, he can achieve liberation. And then the text 8 to 15, destination of Virat Rupa worshipper and superiority bhakti. That is spoken. One who meditates on the Virat Rupa and beyond Sakama and Nishkama, there is a bhakti. That is contrasted with those two. And then Kapila Muni is criticizing how Sakama Karma is not at all for an intelligent person, because it just continues from top to top. Abrahma bhuvana loka punaravartino arjuna mamupetu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. So that verse Prabhupada also quotes. That verse is very befitting for this chapter. So one keeps on going around, merry-go-round. There is a beautiful verse also in first canto. Tassaiva heto prayeteto kopito na labhyate yad bhramatam uparyadaha. One should endeavor for that purpose, that which cannot be achieved by going up and down in this material world, in this whole Brahmanda. Tassaiva heto prayeteto kopito. The Kovita, the intelligent person, prayata, one has to endeavor for that purpose, which by, for which that is not available in this. At Bharmatam Paryada, Bharmatam, one is rotating from top planet to down planet, though one is going up and down. One will not achieve that purpose. For that purpose, one should endeavor. That is means going beyond this world, beyond birth and death. So that's main point. Kapila criticizing Sakama Karma because they are not intelligent enough to understand. I am just rotating here only, and as intelligent person, just like if a driver is intelligent, if he is intelligent enough, he can see that how he is going round and round in the same loop. Let us suppose he is driving and he's seeing the same buildings coming again and again while he's going to taking a turn. He's supposed to take a different turn, but he's taking the same turn. But if he's seeing the same buildings, then then he understands I am not going anywhere, and he has to come to senses that I am choosing a same route always. Sometimes it happens. So in a busy lanes or in a very intricate lanes, same road. So one has to one has to become intelligent. So by that one can practice bhakti and achieve. By practice of bhakti, you can achieve goals of other paths also and going beyond also. So that is explained in the fifth section, in the last section. And Kapila Muni contrasts bhakti with other processes like jnana and various paths to realize God. That is explained. And lastly, who can and who cannot receive now this knowledge. And then Kapila Muni pauses this understanding. Then he starts to move. Final instructions he gives, and then he goes ahead to forest. That the Falashruti are that's just like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita after speaking everything, whom should be given this knowledge, whom should not be given this knowledge. So that kind of a same reflection is given. Is here in last section 37 to 43. So after explaining everything, especially karma, jnana, bhakti, these three are always, especially the whole teachings of Kapila, is more clarity about what is Shuddha Bhakti, what is Jnana, what is Karma, what is Yoga, how we are mixing, what is the mixed devotional service, pure devotional service. This one has to be little more clear as we are growing in Bhakti. So that's the very powerful section. These are all the, especially Kapila section. Then he gives the Falashruti or whom to given, whom not to be given, and then Falashruti. Okay, we'll start at least this section. Text chapter 32, entanglement in fruity activities. Okay, Vishnu Jagadar is saying that Dvatrimshetu Sakamanam Nishkamanam Cha Karminam. There three people are spoken. Yeah, as we read connection. Sakamanam means those who are fruity activity. Sakama karmis. Nishkamanam, those who are nishkama karmis. Karminam, those who are materialists, complete materialists. Karminam. So punaravritti, anavritti. So these people, sakama karmas, these people, avritti, they will come back again and again. And nishkama people, the anavritti, they will not come back. Procha, abhakta, nininda, abhakta, those who are non-devotees, karmis, they are criticized by Kapila Muni. So as you read also, after speaking about returning to the world by sakama karma, non-returning by nishkama karma, Kapila criticizes non-devotees. Having explained the results of condemned sinful activities, where it is explained condemned sinful activities, results, the destinations of sinful activities explained in which chapter? Having explained the results of condemned sinful activities, means previous chapters, especially in the 30th chapter. Now Kapila explains the results of prescribed activities with material desire. Prescribed activities. Condemned sinful activities means they are not according to Shastra. Prescribed activities means they are recommended in Shastra. But with material desires, when one performs, then what are the results? So that is are explained in this chapter. Though he is performing dharma according to, we know that 3.3 terms you can remember. Adharma, dharma and parodharma. So Kapil Muni criticized adharma. Whatever you do with adharma or you are suffering in hells. Okay, what about if I do dharma? Is it okay? Now he says, compared to parodharma, you are also criticized just by doing dharma. So sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. So Kapila Muni wants to bring to the highest point that is spoken here. So the dharma is also criticized here. Dharma, what is that? Dharma projita kaitavatra paramo nirmatsaranam satam. That kind of dharma is also criticized here. So living in his house, he enjoys the results of various dharmas. Dharma, artha, kama. And again, he performs those dharmas. He keep on performing dharma, he enjoys the results. And then he again performs, he enjoys the results. It's a cycle. It's like a cycle. An example is also given, just like grazing the, after grazing the cows in the field, one milks them, one enjoys the milk, right now. I mean, then one enjoys the milk. After that, then he again, after getting the milk and enjoys the milk, then again he puts them back into the graze. Again he takes the cows. Again he performs dharma. Again he enjoys the results. So this keep on continuing. Abrahma Bhuvanal Loka, going up and down. So same thing is happening. So that is mentioned in this. That is also criticized. So yeah, same thing is mentioned. Satvikir dharmair urdham gatir udiryate. When we perform satviki dharma, urdham gati. So urdham gachanti sattva. Sattva. When you perform in sattva, one goes to urdhu gatim, they achieve. So sattva jnana vinihasya tatascha punaragati. Without tattva jnana, without understanding tattva jnana, actual spiritual understanding about Lord Bhakti, if we don't understand, then punaragati, one has to come down. So that's the point. The destination of one engaged in sinful actions has been explained. Now the destination of one performing kama karma, actions motivated by material desires, is described in the first 4 verses. The Kapil Muni is saying about this one. So that's the main point, main connections of the previous chapters. Kapila Uvacha Atayo Grahamedhiyan Dharman Yevasan Grihe Kamam Ardham Cha Dharman Swan Dogdhi Bhuja Pipartitan.
The personality of Godhead said, the person who lives in the center of household life derives material benefits by performing religious rituals, and thereby he fulfills his desire for economic development and sense gratification. Again and again, the same way.
Continue. The purport is very beautiful. Prabhupada quite contrasted. He gives a clarity about Brahmedi and Grihastha. It's a different level of definition what we understand. Generally, we understand Brahmedi means more of sinful activity, right? No? Sinful personality. But here a little bit elevated platform he gives to him. Yeah, please read.
There are 2 kinds of householders. One is called the Grahamedi and the other is called the Grihastha. The objective of the Grahamedi is self-gratification and the objective of the Grihastha is self-realization. Defining Grahamedi. Where the Lord is speaking about the Brahmadi or the person who wants to remain in this material world. His activity is to enjoy material benefits by performing religious rituals for economic development and thereby ultimately satisfy the senses. He
Mm,
doesn't want anything more.
mm,
A person works very hard throughout his life to become very rich and eat very nicely and drink. By giving some charity for pious activity, he can go to a higher planetary atmosphere in the heavenly planets in his next life. But he does not want to stop the repetition of birth and death and finish with the concomitant miserable factors of material existence. Such a person is called a Brahmani. Defining Grahastha. A Grahastha is a person who lives with family, wife, children, and relatives, but has no attachment for them. He prefers to live in family life rather than as a mendicant or sannyasi. But his chief aim is to achieve self-realization or to come to the standard of Krishna consciousness.
yeah, so here a Grihastha means basically a Krishna conscious person. Grahamedi here provides little bit elevated platform where he is religiously performing pious acts and etc. Works hard, takes care of family, and he is not generally Grahamedi means we also takes into kind of non-irreligious activities also he does. So the two shades of a Grahamedi. One can be completely irreligious, not at all following scriptures at all. That is also called Brahmedi. Even if he is following scriptures and working hard and doing pious activities, as Prabhupada mentioning here, he giving some charity for pious activities and doing all according to rules and regulations. But still, he is also called Brahmedi. So that's the main point. So one should not be like that, but one should be more as a taking Krishna as a center, then one can elevate himself. Otherwise, Punascharita Sirvanam proper quotes here. So that's Kapila Muni is saying that if one is a kind of a Grahamedi, then one has to keep on rotating here. Tav Grahamediyan Dharman Evasan Grihe. So all this is talking about like that. So yeah, the 4 verses speaks about him, how he keeps on going up and down. सा चापि भगवद्धर्मात् काममूढा परान्मुखः यजते क्रतुभिर्देवान् पितॄंश्च श्रद्धयान्वितः.
Such persons are ever bereft of devotional service due to being too attached to sense gratification, and therefore, although they perform various kinds of sacrifices and take great vows to satisfy the demigods and forefathers, they are not interested in Krishna consciousness devotional service.
Here a very beautiful point that brought out Sachapi Bhagavad Dharmat. As we're discussing, Grohamedi has 2 categories and Agrasta has 1 category. So that is very clearly mentioned here. So Sachapi Bhagavad Dharmat means, and the word cha here is used to indicate the inclusion of what was previously mentioned. Just as sinful person papakarma, who did papakarma, sinful person is turned away from Bhagavad Dharma. Similarly, sacha, he also refers to such a person. He also refers to such a person. So just like that sinful person, oh, there is also another person. Like that is saying. Who is that another person? Yeah, Api. Although such a person may be engaged in Vedic rituals, Vedic karma, still the implication is that he remains separate from Bhagavad Dharma. Yeah, this is the distinction between Bhagavad Dharma compared to Papa Karma versus Papa Karma also, Vedic Dharma also. So both are condemned. So Sa Chapi. So that's how that's explanation is given, very contrasting with Bhagavad Dharma. So basically, Adharma, Dharma, both are kicked out, and only Parodharma, Bhagavad Dharma is established, is glorified by Srila Deva Goswami and also Kapil Muni in Kapil Muni saying, and Acharyas are clarifying that fact. So even more than all types of desires, Sarvakama, turning away from Bhagavad Dharma and being inclined toward anything else is true cause of bondage. Because one does even a religious activity is bound only in these 14 worlds. He may not be going to the hellish planets, but he's just bound in the going up and down. That's Prabhupada criticizes Kama Muda from Bhagavad Gita. Kama is taiste Dhyana Prapadyantanya Devata. So they are going just up and down. So that is criticized, that is pinpointed. They want to do all these religious activities, continue to want to be prosperous. But Prabhupada connects to the point that this is all because of impersonalism. That's another insight Prabhupada brings out. This kind of so-called pious and religious man is the result of impersonalism. How is that? Because Prabhupada writes that the impersonalists maintain that supreme absolute truth has no form, and that one can imagine any form he likes for his benefit and worship in that way. So that's why they are taking up all the Devata worships, because of the impersonalist propagation of God has no form, you can worship anyone and everyone. That's why all people are addicted to this Devata worship and they are caught up in the cycle. So that's one insight Prabhupada gives. So yeah, they maintain that whether one worships goddess, Kali or Supreme Personality Vishnu, any demigod, this is same. So these are all. So same judgment is confirmed here in this verse. So Bhagavad Gita Prabhupada is contrasting with this verse. So Kama, those who are desirous of material enjoyment, they cannot go beyond of this material world. So the worshippers of demigods are condemned both in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So what happens by that worship? Now Kapil Muni is speaking. Tat Shraddhaya Krantamatihi Pitrudeva Vrata Puman Gatvacha Chandramasam Lokam Somapa Punah Eshyati.
Such materialistic persons, attracted by sense gratification and devoted to the forefathers and demigods, can be elevated to the moon where they drink an extract of the Soma plant. They again return to this planet.
So, though they may perform all these religious activities, Shraddhaya, with great faith, with reverence, Pitrudeva, Vrata Puman, all these activities one does. So he goes to one planet, generally spoken of moon, but maybe higher planets also, basically higher planets, Swargalokas. So they go and they enjoy and they have to come back, definitely. That's the final point. So then Prabhupada talks about moon planet and then how to go there, can I remain there, and the calculations of time, etc. Because lack of time, we are not going. But I can read the summary.
In spite of being promoted to the moon, however, one has to come back to this earth again when the merits of his works in sacrifice are finished. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.21. Tetam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam ukshine punye martyalokam vikunti.
Tetam muktva sargalokam vishalam shalam kshine punye matilokam. They have to come back. There is no choice at all. So then, okay, they will come back. So what about the planets? That is also condemned. Condemned in the sense that is also mentioned. What to speak of their downfall? Even the planets also, they are submerged during the at the end of the day of Brahma. So what to speak of these people? That means they are so temporary. They are not at all worth endeavoring for. So that is the main thrust of these verses. We have to come back. So one may say that, oh, I'll go back again. No, they are also destroyed in due course of time. Why you are endeavoring for them? Even the planets also will be destroyed. So that is spoken. So what to speak of their person downfall? The planets they attain are also covered with water at the end of the day of Brahma. So in the Pralaya, that is what to speak of their fall so steep, even Brahma's worlds can't keep. The worlds also cannot stay. Yada Chahindra Shayyayam Shete Nantashano Harihi Tadalokalayam Yanti Tayete Grahamedinam.
All the planets of the materialistic persons, including all the heavenly planets, such as the moon, are vanquished when the Supreme Personality of Godhead goes to his bed of serpents, which is known as Ananda Cave.
So, an intelligent person, attached person, Prabhupada explains, and how these people doesn't know that destruction happens. That Prabhupada quotes Bhagavad Gita. Please read this one.
In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that one can even go to the Brahma Loka, but still he will find the pangs of birth, death, disease, and old age. Only by approaching the Lord abode, the Vaikuntha Loka, does one not take birth again in this material world.
Prabhupada translates that Abrahma Bona Loka. Punaravartino Arjuna. Mahupetita Kaunteya Punarjanmana Vidyate. If one goes back home to Vaikuntha Loka, no coming back. So, but why we don't take advantage? Prabhupada speak about we are attached to our own so-called understanding of enjoyment. So that's one part of the verse. And second part, he talks about the dissolutions. Two kinds of dissolutions, especially here, all the planets, not all the planets, some of the planets are destroyed or submerged in the water. That Prabhupada talks about. So I think some of you might have heard about dissolutions or the pralayas. How many pralayas are there? Anyone heard about pralayas? How many pralayas? Prabhupada is speaking about here 2 pralayas, dissolutions. Yes, Madhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanwa Pranam. Prabhuji, one pralay is there at the half of Brahma's life when 50 years have been covered, and one is at the end of Brahma's life. Brahma.
Okay. Only 2?
Prabhuji,
I
one
guess there are 3. One
Okay.
is
What is
after when Brahma's day has been completed.
okay? What happens after half of life?
Half of life.
No, you mentioned half. No, I mean,
Yes,
if your
Prabhuji.
life is 100 years,
After 50 years.
after 50?
After 50 years of Brahma's life.
Okay, okay. Anyone else or any other reflection or heard anything? The pralayas. Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, one pralay is after the Brahma's night, and
Okay.
another is at end of the life of Brahma.
Very good. Okay. Only 2?
Prabhuji, at the when the material world is means it goes back
Death
in
and birth, also one pralay.
Yeah, good. Yes. Yes, end of all material. Prakriti itself is another pralaya. Good. You're all combinedly trying to come to the answer. Yes. Anything more? 3 came now. Anything else is there? Yeah, basically there are 4 pralayas. They are called Nitya Pralaya, Naimitik Pralaya,
Prakritik and Atyantik.
Prakritik and Natyantik. Nitya Pralaya means every moment is going on, some destruction is going on at every cell in our bodies or in the material world. Every moment there is a Pralaya. That's called Nitya Pralaya. Naimitik Pralaya is the end of day of Brahma. One day like night, as you mentioned, one night or end of day. So each day or when night comes, there is a pralaya, small pralaya, what is mentioned here especially. And another pralaya after 50, see, as one's life goes on, after 50, there is no any specific pralaya, but after 50 years, just like years, like day after day after day, it's just calculated as a month, then years. Same after 50 years also, end of the 50th year, December 31st, and that night, same thing happens. There is no any specific pralaya, but the same pralaya is that time also, but there is a special creation happens. Special kind of the creation happens in the sense, special kind of explanation is given in Bhagavatam. After 51st is explained in Bhagavatam. After a half life of Brahma, we are into 51st year of Brahmaji. We are in that's how it's explained. But there is no any specific special resolution happens. It's only just like after a day of Brahma happens. Same on December 31st. I'm just giving example. Same happens after 50 years of December 31st. So one is Nitya Pralaya. Every day, every moment is going on. After a day of Brahma is a second Pralaya. Then after Atyantik Pralaya, Prakritik Pralaya means it's a whole material world itself is just absorbed in the Mahavishnu. So that kind of Pralaya is absorbed in, everything is absorbed in Mahavishnu. And it's called Prakriti. Prakriti, there is no Prakriti at all. I mean, it may be just for momentary, but that is called Atyantik Pralaya. That's it. It may be just momentary and it's not even seen sometimes because Prakriti is kind of eternal once we say, because it's there in the Lord also, and immediately it comes out. So, but yeah, that's called Atyantik Pralaya. All the things are absorbed in Mahavishnu and Atyantik Pralaya. So, Nitya, Naimittika, Prakritika, and Atyantika. Atyantika means the living entity itself is liberated from all these entanglements. That is called Atyantik Pralaya. The living entity only gives up even the whole material world itself and goes on back to Godhead. That is called that ultimate Pralaya. That is Atyantik Pralaya. That living entity is liberated now. So that's kind of dissolutions. Prabhupada explains 2 out of that. So here is only a hard day at the night when Brahmaji goes to sleep, end of day, that dissolution happens and all the planets are submerged. So we should not too much take interest in going to those planets and what to speak of enjoying there. So that's Prabhupada explains. Then this verse now after till 4 verses explaining about repeated return, punaravritti of those who perform actions with material desires. Yes, Masadi, you have a question?
Yes, Prabhuji. Just want to ask about, you said about Prakrutik Pralaya. That is, whole material world is absorbed in Mahavishnu.
Mm.
So,
Correct.
when is that, Prabhuji?
When is that? That is when Mahavishnu inhales and exhales that we read, no?
Means
That's right.
when universes are created like that, Prabhuji?
When universe is created, no, when Mahavishnu, how it starts, when Mahavishnu yasyaika nishvasita kamalatavalambya jivanti loma vilaja jagatandanath. So when he inhales, everything goes inside. When he exhales, the moment he exhales, that exhalation is spoken in our third canto, where we read the creation, how it starts with. And you might have gone through all the sections of Mahavishnu when he's glancing, right? No? That glancing, when he is just exhaling, so that time all the Prakriti is coming out. At the same time, he's glancing on the Prakriti. So that's how the primary creation is explained. Once the whole Prakriti, the Mula Prakriti is coming out of his pores, and when simultaneously glancing on that primary creation happens. So that time is considered like a creation, starting primary creation. And that all you might have read. It's just an overall explanation. So difficult to comprehend what exactly happens because Mahavishnu is beyond our comprehension. But that's how it's explained a little bit from the Bhagavatam or whatever we understand. Yeah. But after the lifetime of Brahmaji, whole life of different planets,
Yes.
of different Brahmandas, when the lifetime of Brahmaji is going to end, so slowly everything is absorbed in Mahavishnu. Yeah,
Okay.
that is called Prakritik Pralaya. Yeah.
And you said Atyantik is living entity gets liberated.
Yeah. That is called Atyantik Pralaya. That means he is liberated from not only from his body, not only from his not only from body, but material world itself. He may be changing the body. He may be changing one body to another, and he may be going to in one life. Let us suppose he's not liberated, but he went into Mahavishnu and is coming down again because of his identity. That comes in these verses, and it will come. How we are not liberated. So let us suppose when Prakriti Pralaya happens, it's not that oh, we are not there means we are liberated. No, we are there, but we are in the Mahavishnu.
We back again, depending on desire.
Correct. Depending on our conditionings, depending on what happens, then we again take positions and pose and positions, etc. But once we are authentic Pralaya means we are liberated, means we are no more bound by this material world. So that time living entity goes beyond this material world, goes back to Vaikuntha. He crosses Virja river.
Yeah, that will be that particular living entity ke liye, no, right?
Correct. Good point. Yeah, that only that particular living entities. Yeah, you brought out the contrast between the pralayas, three pralayas, and the fourth pralaya. That only particular living entities condition is explained in that pralaya. It's not about the material worlds that are explained. Correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Okay, we are 4:33. Maybe 5 minutes I'll take. 2-3 verses we'll pause. Sa kamakarminam punah punar avritim vuktva. So till now, sakamakarmis punah avritim, how they come back again and again, repeated return. After speaking that, now nishkamakarminam punar anavritim aha. So this verses, the verses now describe non-return of those who act without desire, nishkam karunam. So that's the comment of the Vishwanath Thakur. For those who are firmly established in Bhagavad Dharma, their attainment of that supreme destination is described in the next 3 verses. So the next 3 verses explaining that going beyond. येष स्वधर्मान्न दुह्यन्ति धीरा कामार्थ हेतवे निस्सङ्गान्यस्तकर्माणः प्रशान्ताः शुद्धचेतसः.
Those who are intelligent and are of purified consciousness are completely satisfied in Krishna consciousness. Freed from the modes of material nature, they do not act for self-gratification. Rather, since they are situated in their own occupational duties, they act as one is expected to act.
ये स्वधर्मान् न दुह्यन्ति. So dhira kamartha hetave. When these personalities, they act without any kind of attachment to their own, they are basically not trying to enjoy, as nishkama karma we always speak about. No problem. Those who have maybe engagements, they can carry on. Well, I'll take maybe 1 or 2 verses. Yeah. Basically, though one is having their own occupational duties, but one should not act out of sense enjoyment. One should not be out of enjoying spirit. Then one will be caught up. But without that, one will be gradually liberated. Please read this one.
The first class example of this type of man is Arjuna. Arjuna was of Kshatriya and his occupational duty was to fight. Generally, kings fight to extend their kingdoms, which they rule for self-gratification. But as far as Arjuna is concerned, he declined to fight for his own self-gratification. He said that although he could get a kingdom by fighting with his relatives, he did not want to fight with them. But when he was ordered by Krishna and convinced by the teachings of Bhagavad Gita that his duty was to satisfy Krishna, then he fought. Thus he fought not for his sense gratification, but for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
This is the main principle that we always hear and we need to follow. in order to be disentangled. Just to change the design, change the direction. Vishaye priti yebe achaye amara sei mata priti hoka charane tomar. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, my dear Lord, I have a great priti towards Vishaya. Vishaye priti yebe achaye amar sei mata priti hoka charane tomar. Let that same attraction be towards your lotus feet. So to serve the Lord. So by that we'll definitely go beyond all these material worlds. That's the main point. Prabhupada defines all these nisanga, nistakarmana, prashanta, suddha chetasa. Very beautiful explanation Prabhupada gives. Suddha chetasa, how one becomes purified consciousness. So in unpurified consciousness, one thinks himself as a Lord of universe, but in purified consciousness, one thinks himself as eternal servant of Supreme Lord. So as long as works for his personal sense gratification, is full of anxiety. So that's the difference between ordinary consciousness and Krishna consciousness. Okay, we'll pause here. Maybe next time we'll continue more. Chandra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
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 Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.